All right, Jareem
Yep.
Gunter, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, so you have this book called The Man Book out, and you asked me to be a part of it, which I was really honored. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But before we get there, let's talk about what brought you to writing the book. You have a really interesting background because you're a young guy. I mean, you're in your 30s, I'm imagining.
Yeah. I think I'm young. Yeah.
So, but you spent most of your adult life mentoring young men. So we're talking like high school kids.
Yes.
What are the biggest problems you saw in the lives of the young men you worked with? And talk more about the type of young men you did work with.
Okay. So the type of young men that I usually worked with are inner city youth. So most of them would be Black and Latino background. I thought it was really important to touch those cultures because of the struggle that a lot of them have been a part of. The biggest problem that I see with young men is just the lack of belief in themselves, and I think it's due to the support around them. Since the lack of belief in themselves is so low, they sometimes do whatever it takes to make others believe what they want to create about themselves.
Gotcha. And do you think that lack of belief in themselves, I mean, did it stem from not having fathers? Is it poverty? Is it not having that support network there?
Yeah, I actually believe it's the challenge they face. I think they go to every race. So I think that some of the topics that I touch in the book are for every single race. So the youth that I've worked with is not primarily about race. It's more about culture and the poverty where they grew up in. And when a lot of that poverty is based on not having a father around. I don't know the stats exactly, but I know that when there's this one parent household or one income coming in, it's less likely that the family is going to be successful. And of course, a lot of people have made it out, but some people don't know how to make it out and they're struggling. And the kids and the young men in those families have to put a lot of burden on themselves. So they're trying to do something and show something and create something that they don't really know how to do.
Exactly.
I always tell people if you've never been shown something, how do you learn how to do it? You know, and when I was growing up, I played baseball. And if my dad never showed me how to play baseball, how would I know how to play baseball?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, having that dad around, just not even to show you specifically, like sit down and show you, hey, son, this is how you do it, but just being a model. You learn a lot through osmosis as a kid.
I tell people all the time, I say, for me as a man, every child I come in contact with, I need to make sure that a child's watching me. So whatever I do, I act like a child's watching me. So I don't want to do anything that I wouldn't want a young man or a young woman also to see. So I try to make sure I live my life in an area where somebody can watch me and learn from me. I have actually a 2-year-old son currently, but even before he was born, I still had a lot of young men that I was connected to, and I wanted to make sure that I showed them a model of how to walk and how to talk and how to do certain things.
Yeah, and becoming a dad definitely makes you more self-conscious of how you act because you realize, I mean, my son's like 5 and like you realize you don't think they're watching, but they are because like he's done stuff that like I did that and like I'm like that's the only place he learned that to do that like it was from me and I didn't sit down and teach him how to do it.
A lot of times we don't even know that they're watching us. So, for example, I hate, and it's going to be terrible. You're going to hate this, but I hate vegetables. Like I hate vegetables, and I eat my meat, but I don't eat the vegetables like I should. And my son is 2 years old, and now he doesn't eat his vegetables. And I'm watching him like, why won't you eat your vegetables? And I'm starting to realize that maybe he sees dad not eat his vegetables. And I've never told him. I always tell him to eat his vegetables, but it's just because he watches and he sees what I do.
Yeah, they're always watching.
So like in the beginning of the book, I talk about a young man, and this is the reason why I wrote the book. I took these young men to see a motivational speaker. And I don't know if you know who Tony Robbins is, but I took him to see Tony Robbins. And we're in a hotel room and we're listening to music. And one of the young men was talking about how his father lived actually a block away from him. So basically in my program, I had him in my program and I had his brother. His brother lived with his dad, and his brother would come to the program every Saturday and say, hey, dad told me to tell you hi. And the young boy was 18 years old. He said, I don't understand why my brother's always telling me that my dad says hi. Why can't he call me? He only lives a block away from me. He says, I'm 18 years old. I don't know how to tie a tie. I don't know how to talk to a young woman. I just don't know how to do things that I feel like a father is supposed to teach a son. And all I know is about everybody that's shown me in my neighborhood how to do these man things, and they don't do it in the right way. So that's when I said, what can I do? Like, I know my role is to be these young men's mentors, but what can I do to help other young men get over that hump of learning how to deal with that, with the loss of a father, or just getting that manhood advice from somebody. So that's why the book was created.
Gotcha. Not it's the man book's awesome because like it's got a lot of great photos in it, and it's littered with different like man skills that you wish that dads are supposed to teach their sons. But you start off the book,
thank you,
talking about accountability and responsibility. Why is that?
Mm-hmm. The reason I started off with that is because I feel like men in general have an issue with accountability. It's always someone else's fault. When we do certain things, it's not my fault, but it's somebody else's fault all the time. Accountability means letting go of your let your actions rise above your excuses. In the book, I talk about 3 steps of accountability. It's like in the beginning is taking responsibility. During it is empowering yourself, and after is accepting personal responsibility.
Gotcha. And how can a man develop more accountability and responsibility in lives? Even like I've noticed myself, I'll do that too. Like the whole like something wrong happens, and then I'll blame something else, and I'm like, well, I probably should step up and take. So I mean, even if a man's in his 20s, 30s, what can they do to develop more accountability in their lives? Is it a matter of getting a group of friends that hold them accountable? Is it just holding themselves accountable?
I think actually it's everything combined into one. It's having a mate that holds you accountable. It's about having friends that hold you accountable, and also yourself. And I think that's the biggest part, is holding yourself accountable, because I know if I do something, or even if I don't do something, if I'm a part of something, then it's my responsibility to give my part. I know in the book I talk about if you're in a group, a study group, and you all have a certain project going on, and the person in your group doesn't do a certain part, and then you end up not doing your part either, and then you guys get an F. And then you get mad and you say, they didn't do their part, so that's why we failed. But you have to realize that you didn't also do your part, and you didn't also do the part to the level that it should be at. So you have to take responsibility for your actions in every aspect of your life. And I think that's really huge in young men, because as we're growing up, we just like children. So like I was saying, my son's 2, and he might do something, and I say, Josiah, my son's name is Josiah. I'll say, Josiah, did you, going back to vegetables, did you eat your vegetables? And he'll say yes, knowing he didn't eat his vegetables. And I'm thinking about, how did a young child that's 2 years old already learn how to lie and already learn how to not be accountable? So I think it's kind of inherited, and all, like, just as young people, as grown people, we just don't take accountability for our actions. And adults, grandparents, a lot of people don't take accountability. And I think that's huge in our world today, is being accountable for the things that you are a part of. Gotcha.
So you move on and you talk about, I thought this was really interesting. You talk about 3 approaches or 3 levels of how people approach life. Can you talk about what those levels are?
Yeah, so the levels are survivalist, success, and significance. And I think that most people, they want in life to have number 3 the most, but they want to do it while getting number 2, which is, so they want to do it with significance, but they want to get it while they're getting success. So like, if you're getting success, but you're not significant, sometimes people can just deal with that, or if you're significant, but then you're broke and you don't have any money, you're like, what's going on? And I think the goal is to, how do you create all of that into one?
Gotcha. And so just to clarify, so survivalist is like, you're just trying to get by, right? In life.
Yes.
Bare bones is necessity. And success is when we talk about success, are we talking about primarily financial success?
And actually, no, we're talking about all types of success, but just living a comfortable life.
Okay. All right. And then significance is, I'm guessing, is just like living a life of meaning, or having a larger purpose and leaving a legacy.
Exactly. Living with purpose. So in the book, I talk about 4 steps you have to take to get a significant life, and actually to create all 3. And without, if you miss even one of those steps, it's hard to create that significant life that you want to create. And the steps are passion, confidence, goal, and lifestyle. And what I mean by passion is, before anything starts, you have to get a passion for something. As I was saying, when I was younger, in college, I played baseball. And my passion was being the best player I could be. I had a passion for baseball. When I wrote this book, I had a passion for changing young people. And it's actually kind of crazy, going off topic, but the book was for young people and young men that grew up without a father. But the feedback I've been getting from people is that this book has been beneficial to all men. So not just the younger men that I thought that I was writing the book for, but it's been beneficial for all men. And also even women are have sons or trying to just know more about how a man should act. That's just side note. But passion is about what does your heart really desire? And confidence is huge, because if you create confidence in yourself, other people believe in you also. And when I mean confidence, I don't mean cocky. I mean that you really believe that your passion is important, and you have confidence that what you're passionate about is helpful to somebody else. When you do goals, I talk about SMART goals. And I know in school they always talk about SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So you have these goals that you have to create and write down your goals that's based off your confidence and your passion. And the biggest part that I feel like is lifestyle. You know, a lot of times we have passion for something. So say we want to change the world, or we want to, I don't know, if you want to cure the water epidemic that we have, you know, and then in your lifestyle, you continue to drink bottled water. You know, whatever you say your passions and what you're confident in and what your goals are, your lifestyle has to match that. So if you want to be a person that wants to lift up women and make sure women are living successful, but you're always dating 10 women at a time, then you're not living the lifestyle of what you're trying to create.
So basically you're just saying walk the talk, right?
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I've seen that happen a lot where people, they have this idea or ideal that they want to strive for, but they don't actually live up to it or actually put that into action. All right. So you talk, this is kind of interesting. You had this section about vulnerability, and we don't really associate that being vulnerable as a guy thing. That's not masculine, but you explained vulnerability in kind of a different way that made it okay, that makes sense. What do you mean by a man should be vulnerable?
Yeah, so most men have been taught to hide who they really are, you know, or I won't even say hide who they really are. They've been taught to hide their feelings. You know, we're supposed to get upset, be tough, and laugh. We don't really show the other emotions, or we're not supposed to show those other emotions. And I think one of the biggest complaints when I talk to women is I always hear women complain about the thing that they have issues with men is that we always shut down. You know, when we get upset, we shut down. We don't want to be touched. We don't want to be talked to. We just want to shut down and go into our own cave. And I feel like that's the biggest issue in this world today. And that's why I feel like people get killed, people get hurt. I feel like that's why a lot of things happen, is because we hold so much in us until we explode. And then we explode, and then that's when we kill somebody, or that's when something happens. You know, because we're holding so much anger and so much frustration in us instead of being able to let it out and talk to somebody or be vulnerable and open up to, even if it's just open up to the people close to you, but you have to be able to let something out. And I heard this one time that before you can even receive something. So, all right, let me actually give you an example. So if I decide that I want to give up smoking, right? If I give up smoking, I have to combat that something with something else. So if I let go of that, I have to get something else, right? So I can't just say I'm going to stop smoking and then just stop cold turkey. If I say I'm going to stop smoking, I need to maybe work out at that time that I feel like I have to smoke. So something has to change that desire to smoke. So that's the same thing with being vulnerable. We have to have something that can heal us from that hurt, or something that can take over that hurt. So instead of us just holding it all in, we have to be able to let it go to get something else into us, right? We can't even receive anything if we're holding so much hurt into us and so much frustration into us. So we can't love if we're not being vulnerable. So it all comes together. If we don't open up, we can't receive anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then I like how you also talk in the book about how vulnerability is the first step towards self-improvement in a lot of ways, right? You have to,
in all aspects.
Yeah, because basically being vulnerable is admitting I don't have all the answers. I'm not good at this thing. And that, I know for a lot of guys, that sucks. You don't want to admit that you're incompetent or you're not good at something, right? You're supposed to put on this, front that you have it together. But if you want to actually get better, you have to admit and be vulnerable and say, hey, I don't know how to tie a tie. Can you show me how?
And how many men want to do that, especially to another man? You know?
Yeah, no, yeah.
And then And also the fun is, I mean, we make jokes about it a lot, but if we're driving around and we have a woman in our passenger seat, we don't want to stop and ask for directions because we have to feel like we know it all.
Yeah.
And it's funny, but it's true because we have to always show that we are a man's man instead of saying, you know what, I don't know how to get there. Let me give directions.
Yeah.
Thank God for now our iPhones and our cellular device that can give us directions so we don't have to ask anybody else. But, it's just the true statement that men have an issue with giving themselves up.
Yeah.
Or feeling like they're giving themselves up.
Yeah. Like I feel like we let ego get in the way sometimes, right?
Of a lot of things. Yes.
Yeah. Right. And so, I mean, that happens a lot. I mean, I just like, here's a perfect example of my own life of vulnerability is like, I'm lifting weights, right? And I'm trying to get stronger. Mm-hmm. And I have a coach that I go to, and like I send him my videos of my lifts so he can critique them. And today's lifts, like they just sucked. I was not feeling good this morning, and they were terrible. And I knew they were terrible, but I had sent them in to him anyway because I knew like he's gonna have advice from me what to do. So I kind of have to admit, like this sucked. I sucked right now, but I need your help. Mm-hmm. And I know that he's going to send feedback to me that's going to help me get better and improve upon that. So it all starts with like opening yourself and letting go of the ego.
Yep. And working out is one of the biggest parts, just like if we need a spot in the gym, a lot of times we're like, no, we don't want to ask for a spot because we got this. And then the weight gets too heavy and it's stuck on our chest and we can't even pick it up.
And then you
because
die.
We want to show that exactly.
Right. All right, so you move on. That is really interesting. You talk about the 3 Fs plus 1 as the backbone of being a man. Can you explain what the 3 Fs plus 1 is?
Yeah, so 3 Fs are fight, failure, fear, and then the plus 1 is faith. I feel like every man has been taught these things, right? And it could be good or bad, and even if you don't have a father around, but everybody's been taught, that you fight, there's failures, there's fear, and there's faith. But we might have all been taught differently, but we've all been taught these things. And even if people don't agree with my points in this book, everybody agrees with these 4 things are something that we live with day to day in every aspect of our life. We are either fighting, for what we believe, or we're not fighting because we're fearful that we're going to fail in what we believe in, or we're fighting because we have the faith to believe that what we're fighting for is right. And that can be in every aspect. So I think fight, failure, fear, and faith are important in our life. And what I put in this book was trying to simplify that into understanding why these things are important for us and why they matter. And maybe not in the same way everybody else sees them.
Gotcha. So Jareem, here's the question. So you work with a lot of at-risk youth. The sad thing about poverty or like the young men who are at risk, like it can oftentimes be a cycle, right? It just goes on and
always, right? Always, yes, always.
So how do you break out of that? I mean, you talk about men need to become a changeover, but like how do you do that? How do you actually escape from your past, and what are the biggest obstacles that prevent young men from letting go and growing from their past that might not have been so great?
Mm-hmm. And that's a great question, and it's huge because so I'll tell you how the changeover basically started. Talking to one of the friends of mine, he has a son, and he was talking about how his son is about 8 years old, and he said that it's really hard for him to relate and be there for his son all the time. And I didn't understand what he was talking about because my father's always been there, so I don't think I ever appreciated it until I talked to my friends that didn't have fathers around. And he was telling me that sometimes he'd just go home and cry because he didn't know if what he was teaching his son was the correct thing. And it blew my mind because I said, wow, if he's never been taught something, how does he know how to teach this? What can he do? And I told him, and I called him later on and I said, you're going to be the changeover. I looked in the dictionary to see what changeover meant. And it said just to change, to do something different. And I said, wow, you can change your legacy. Like this can be a word that we can use to change the whole trajectory of like your whole family's lifeline. If you change, then everybody else behind you changes. And if you go to any kind of, what people say, the projects or the hood, if you go to these places, a lot of times the grandmothers lived, or the great grandmothers lived in the house. Then the grandmother took it over. Then the mother took it over. Then, the son or whoever else is taking it over. But the house stays in the family because everybody's been in the same house, right? How do you change that if your whole legacy has been one thing, And my thought was, you have to see yourself as whatever you decide you want to create and want to become. You see yourself as that. Right. And the biggest thing is connecting to the mentorship piece in there. But the thing is to find somebody that is what you want to become. And once you find somebody that's what you want to become, you model after them. You find that. So, for example, my dad is, to me, probably the most amazing man in the world. Right. And it's going to be funny, but I've never seen my dad do anything wrong. And I've literally never seen him look at somebody and say, oh, what are they wearing? I've never heard him cuss. Never, nothing. Everything he does is about positivity and uplifting. And when I went to college, one of my friends, his dad was a pimp and his mom was a prostitute. And they gave him up to his grandmother. Then he left his grandmother when he was about 14. So this kid was living on his own till he was in college. So he's in college and we're doing things, and we became really close. And he came to my house one time and he was talking about how he didn't have a car and he didn't know what to do. My dad, and so I'll tell you, my parents they're not the most wealthy people in the world. They're regular middle-class people that struggle just like everybody else, but also can pay their bills. He was talking about his struggles, how he's never really been given anything, never got a gift, and he doesn't have a car. My parents decided to give him their car, and this was in 2002, and they gave him a 98 Intrepid. So a fairly newer car. And they decided just to give him their car because they felt like he needed something. And this kid cried and cried and cried. And now this man has 2 kids, and he is probably the best father ever. And he does everything. And he always credits that just from that moment that my dad gave him that car, because he said he realized that people do care about him, and there is people that are important. And just because he saw somebody caring for somebody else, now he knows how to care for other people. And that's a simple thing that happened that changed his whole entire life.
Gotcha.
And just what I'm saying is you can be the changeover based on just modeling somebody else's actions.
Awesome. And it also takes, we'll talk about this later too, but it takes someone who's, let's quote unquote, got it together to reach out and help someone who needs that change.
Exactly. Okay.
Well, we'll talk about that in a sec. Well, let's go back to this. Mm-hmm. I read this about you and I thought this was really interesting. So you talked about failure. And mm-hmm. that's a big part of every man's life. They're going to have big setbacks in life. Can you tell us about a big setback in your life that you had to overcome, and how did you handle it?
Yeah. So, wow. So I had to actually, I've had a huge setback in my life. It basically changed everything about me. When I was in college, I played baseball. I was in Missouri. I did actually really well playing baseball, and I thought I was going to be drafted. And a lot of other people thought I was going to be drafted. I actually was traveling around different places to perform for different teams when I was in college. At that time, out of nowhere, my liver failed. I didn't understand why, because I didn't drink. Usually when you think about liver failure, you think about somebody who's an alcoholic. And I had never tasted alcohol in my life. So it was very awkward for me to have an issue where my liver had failed. And at that time, I didn't know what to do. I worked out a lot, and I was taking a pill that I thought was just, over-the-counter pill, thought it'd be fine. Come to find out, the pill had a steroid in it, but not a steroid to get you stronger, but a steroid to kill you. So my liver failed, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I went from 245 to 145 in a month. My bones had kind of deteriorated so much that I can barely even walk. So I was in a wheelchair and trying to get by every day. And it was horrible. Doctor came into my room and told me that there was a possibility I can die. And he told me that if I wanted to get a liver transplant, they would have to seek out somebody that had the same, liver as me. And I decided that I didn't want that. I said, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. Because he told me that if I got a liver transplant and the person was a smoker or something like that, their traits, I might inherit those traits. And I decided, no, that's nothing I want to do. I'm going to just, hopefully just make it. I was blessed and I made it. After I made it, I went back to try to play baseball again. And the NCAA, my first game of the season, we were playing at the Metrodome in Minnesota, and I was getting ready to go on the field, and my coach got a call saying that the NCAA is not going to let me play because I had taken a steroid. So I didn't understand, because I said, I didn't know anything about it being a steroid. My doctor wrote letters to him and said Jareem didn't take a steroid. The steroid wasn't a steroid to boost him working out. It was a steroid that kills him. The NCAA still wouldn't let me play, and they basically said that it wasn't that what I was taking was negative, but they had to basically make an example out of me, a good player that that was taking something that I shouldn't have been taking. So at that time, I had no idea what I was going to do. I was stuck. I said all I thought I was going to do was ever play baseball. So I came back home. I'd been working with youth over the summer. I'd come out and help out at different programs. And I said, you know what, let me just help out my community, start working with students. And I realized that was what I was supposed to be doing. And that's why I got sick, so that I can come out here and be a blessing to these young men. So I definitely had a huge setback, but that setback basically was really a setup for this huge success about changing lives of young men.
And I mean, how do you avoid, I mean, did you get angry? I mean, and if not, like, what did you do to not get angry? Like, I mean, I could see myself just totally getting angry at the world, God, like the NCAA, like.
Yeah, no. It was complete. Like when it first, I was complete anger because, as a 20-year-old baseball player, you're thinking this is all you're going to do. And I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And I was angry, and I won't, and to this day, I won't say that I'm angry now. I wish I could know what the possibility would have been, but I feel like everything happened exactly how it was supposed to happen. So at that time I was angry. But I think the anger changed about 2.5 months later after I came back home. And I think I was also embarrassed because I was saying, how could they say that I took a steroid and I did take a steroid? When I look at steroids, I think about players, like Mark McGwire, people that were intentionally taking steroids to get better. And that wasn't me. So I was really frustrated. But when I came back home and I went and worked with, I think it was my first student, I was a PE teacher. And I went to a kindergarten class and I had this kindergartner circle up and we were just dancing around and doing little moves. And I had them play Foursquare. And it was my first day. And my teacher, one of the students, a 5-year-old boy, said, "You're the best teacher we've ever had." And this is my first day. And I said, wow, I guess it's what I'm supposed to do. And that's when everything just kind of started. And I just stayed with that. And I ended up running programs and doing different things because I felt like that's what I had to be doing. And I love it now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you found another opportunity and you took it.
Yes.
Gotcha. And also, I guess another lesson is don't be like, for the guys out there, because I know a lot of our guys work out and they do, like, be careful the supplements you take.
Oh my goodness, please.
Yeah.
Please. They actually they ended up having me as a spokesperson for a lot of different things. I had to go speak on Capitol Hill about supplements. A lot of things that I found out is that if things aren't, actually you can go into GNC and say, "Hey, I want you to sell my product," and they can sell it. It doesn't have to be FDA approved for them to sell it at GNC, which is incredible. Like, that blows my mind. I'm like, how can a corporation be able to sell whatever they want, without it going through some type of, regulations, and they don't have to.
Yeah, there's really no regulation there. Like, you can pretty much slap a label on anything and
anything.
It's crazy. And
the guy that was selling my product was actually making it out of his the trunk of his car. He has a minivan. He was making a product out of the trunk of his minivan and sold in 2 weeks. He sold $1.5 million from this supplement that he made out of the trunk of his car.
Crazy. Like they're selling this at GNC, Amazon, whatever. So yeah, that's another thing. That's something, if you guys do it, if you take supplements, be careful of the supplements you take.
Definitely.
So watch out for that. Let's talk about male friendship. What role has male friendship played in your life and shaping the man you are?
So I'll give you an example. A long time ago, I was struggling with something basically about friends supporting me. I had an event and my friends weren't supporting it. And I was venting to another friend about, the issue I had with that. And he said, "Jareem, you have to understand, because you support everybody else, that doesn't mean that everybody's reality is going to be your reality, or your reality is not going to be everybody else's reality." And it made so much sense to me. And I couldn't, at that time I was like, wow, why is he saying that? But afterwards I thought about what he meant by that. And basically, these people weren't on the same path as me. Not that they weren't still my friends, but sometimes friendship is not based on longevity. Like I've always thought, like if you were my friend for 20 years, I feel like you should be my friend for the rest of my life, you know? And a lot of times is friends are here for seasons. So that might have been, you know, a good 5-year season, but I might have another friend that's here that pushes me and helps me grow. So I think every friendship is about what can they give to your life to make you better and make you stronger. And I would also say never stop being yourself. Like, don't allow anybody else to make you not be yourself. You know, find friends that appreciate who you are and help you strive to do what you want to do in the past, and don't hold your past over your head.
Let's end this talking about male mentorship. This is how it all started. I like to end with this. I know there's a lot of guys out there who would like to start mentoring. Like, it's something they feel like they want to do, but they're not sure how to do it. Any advice for the guys out there who'd like to start mentoring?
Yeah, for me, mentorship is the most important thing you can do and you can get out of it. So mentorship always is not about the young person or even the older person. It's about yourself, right? And I don't want to take it as selfish, but mentorship can be selfish sometimes, because what you don't know is that you're getting so much out of it, right? Kids have literally changed my life based on me just hearing things they say and the thoughts that they have about themselves. And then it creates things that I said, oh, you know what? I have that same thought about myself. You know, so how do I help them? And I'm struggling too. So it's very powerful. Actually, currently, I'm trying to create a platform for mentors for people that share the same goal. So I'm trying to create some type of online thing where men can become mentors. If you're a young person and you want to be a doctor, you can go on this website and you can talk to a doctor about your thoughts, and the doctor can give you feedback about how you can become what you want to become. I think it's really important for all men to get in some, and even if you feel like you're not successful yet, you still need to be in some type of mentorship, because what you have, you can always share with somebody else and help somebody else out.
Yeah, I mean, like, 'cause I've had guys say that, like, I want a mentor, but like I'm 30 years old and like I feel like I need a mentor, right? And I got, why should I be out there mentoring these kids when I think I need a mentor? Even those type of guys should try mentoring out.
Definitely. And I actually have a mentor now. You know, I'm 33, or am I 34? No, I'm 33. But I'm 33, and I still to this day have a mentor. I feel like you never stop. There's always going to be somebody that knows more than you about what you want to do. And maybe it's not even what you want to do, but you might see somebody you say, you know what, I want to be that one day. So that becomes your mentor. You talk to them, see if they'd be your mentor. I have mentors now to this day, and I'm this age, and I literally have about 20 to 25 young men that I mentor to this day. So I think it's really, and I don't encourage anybody to get that many, because it's really hard to maintain those relationships, because mentorship should be personal. So I would say try one young man and try to mentor that young man, and also get you a mentor also that can also give you the tools that you need. So I think it's every platform you come to, people need mentors. And
Jareem, this has been a great conversation. Where can people learn more about the book and your work?
Yeah. So my book is actually on my website. It's not on Amazon. I know a lot of people ask about it. Is it on Amazon? And the reason it's not on Amazon is because Amazon, I created a product and I felt like the quality is very, very high. And when I put it on Amazon, the quality won't stay as high as it is. So it's only on my website currently, and that's www.themanbook.org. So themanbook.org. If you want to know more information about it, please contact me. If you people need speaking engagements, please contact me. I've been traveling a lot recently, but whatever I can do and to share the story of the Man Book and to change young men's life, I'm willing to do.
Awesome. Well, Jareem Gunter, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
My guest today was Jareem Gunter. He's the author of the book, The Man Book, and you can find that on themanbook.org.